Hi, welcome to Arkintel. South Korea rose faster than almost any nation in modern history, from war-torn poverty to global dominance in just one generation. It built ships that carried the world's trade, chips that powered its technology, and culture that reshaped its imagination. On the surface, it's a triumph, a nation that turned ruin into prosperity. But beneath the glow of progress, something is breaking. The population is collapsing, debt is climbing, and the export engine that once powered its rise is starting to falter. The same model that built South Korea's success is now feeding its slow decline. A system built for relentless growth is beginning to choke on its own perfection. And the question that once defined its rise, how did Korea do it, is being replaced by something far more unsettling. Can the miracles survive? The Korean War left the country in ruins. In the 1950s, its per capita income was lower than that of many African nations. Yet, within 3 decades, it became a manufacturing and technology powerhouse. Starting in the 1960s, Seoul launched an export-led industrial strategy, mobilizing state banks, disciplined labor, and tight state planning. Companies like Hyundai, Samsung, and LG grew from small traders into global titans. By the 1980s, growth was soaring above 10% a year, powered by shipyards, steel, and semiconductors. Education became Korea's secret weapon, turning a rural workforce into one of the most skilled in Asia. By 2024, South Korea's nominal GDP stood around $1.8 trillion, ranking 13th in the world, according to the IMF. A nation once known for famine now exports microchips, cars, and culture. From the Han River to Hollywood, K-power became a symbol of ambition. But behind the triumph lies a new challenge. What happens when the engine that built the miracle starts to slow? Every economy begins with people, and South Korea is running out of them. In 2024, the country recorded 238,300 births, the first annual increase in nearly a decade. Yet, the fertility rate, though up from 0.72 to 0.75, remained the lowest in the world, far below the 2.1 needed to sustain population. By 2050, the working age population is projected to shrink by nearly 1/3, while the elderly share will roughly double. Fewer workers, fewer taxpayers, rising pressure on pensions and healthcare. Young Koreans are among the most educated and ambitious globally, yet face exhausting work hours, high living costs, and shrinking opportunity. Housing feels out of reach. Raising children feels economically impossible. Women in particular face a stark choice between career and family, and most choose one. It's not a lack of values, it's a lack of support. A system built on sacrifice now demands more than people can give. And when the best educated generation in national history stops having children, no economy can escape the consequences. South Korea's economic miracle was built on exports, but that same dependence has become a liability. In 2023, exports accounted for about 44% of South Korea's GDP, one of the highest ratios among advanced economies. When global demand surges, Korea thrives. When it cools, growth quickly fades. In September 2025, exports surged 12.7% year-on-year to reach a record $65.9 billion, driven by booming demand for semiconductors and electric vehicles. But the rebound came after months of weakness earlier in the year, a reminder of just how vulnerable Korea's growth remains to global cycles. Half of all exports come from a handful of sectors: chips, cars, and electronics. A downturn in any of them ripples through the entire economy. And geopolitics is rewriting the trade map. The United States is reshoring supply chains. China, still Korea's largest customer, is also its fiercest competitor. The globalized order that made Korea rich is splintering into rival blocs, and Seoul sits uncomfortably in between. A nation that mastered globalization now faces its opposite, deglobalization, and this time, efficiency alone may not be enough to survive. Reform isn't optional, it's survival. Immigration. Foreign residents now make up just over 5% of Korea's population, the highest share in its history, but far too small to offset demographic decline. To sustain its workforce, Korea must open its doors wider, not just to contemporary labor, but to families who can settle and contribute long-term. Immigration isn't charity, it's strategy. At the same time, stronger childcare support, affordable housing, and flexible work are essential to make parenthood realistic for Koreans themselves. Innovation. Korea invests nearly 5% of GDP in research and development, among the world's highest, but most of that funding circulates within a few conglomerates. The next wave of growth must come from startups, universities, and smaller firms driving advances in AI, biotech, and green tech. Diversification. Services account for only 15 to 16% of exports, about half the G7 average. Expanding finance, healthcare, education, and creative industries would reduce dependence on goods exports and stabilize growth. Globally, Seoul must look beyond its traditional partners, building deeper ties with Southeast Asia, India, and Africa, where demand and demographics are still growing. Korea reinvented itself once before. The question is whether it still has the will to do it again. In the best case scenario, reform takes hold. Immigration rises, breathing new life into a shrinking workforce. Innovation spreads beyond the conglomerates, unlocking a wave of creativity from startup and universities. Growth steadies nearly 2 to 3%, powered by ideas instead of labor, and South Korea evolves into a high-income powerhouse ready for the next industrial age. But in the darker scenario, reform stalls. The population keeps shrinking, exports lose their edge, and growth slips below 1%. The miracle doesn't end with a crash. It erodes quietly as opportunity drains away and the energy that once defined Korea begins to fade. The irony is hard to ignore. The same discipline and control that built Korea's strength now threaten to trap it in the past. Because in a world moving this fast, survival won't come from doing what worked before. It will come from daring to do what no one expects. Reinvention, not repetition, is the only way forward. South Korea's rise wasn't luck, it was determination. From ruin to riches in 2 generations, it defied gravity once. But every miracle has limits. Demographics, dependence, and division are closing in. One path leads to renewal, a more open, innovative, and balanced Korea. The other leads to decline, a slow contraction of people and opportunity. The question isn't whether Korea can survive, it's whether it will choose to change. Because if any nation can rewrite its fate twice, it's this one. The miracle isn't over, it's waiting for its next beginning. If you found this video insightful, make sure to check out Japan's inflation plan backfired, now what? In this video, we break down Japan's looming debt crisis, why its push for inflation backfired, how rising bond yields are shaking confidence, and why cracks in the world's 3rd largest economy could trigger global aftershocks from Tokyo to New York. Click the video to watch now.